It's Kelly Clarkson here to talk all things Wayfair, the best place to buy furniture, decor, and anything else you can think of to create a home you absolutely love. Some of y'all might have heard I made the cross-country move from LA to New York last year, and Wayfair has definitely helped me create the feeling of home wherever I am. I love a cozy couch and a comfy living room that feels like our little sanctuary for our family. And I love vases, I love candles, I love anything that kind of makes you feel at home and peaceful. Anyway, something about me is I love options when it comes to making my home more me. I know when I shop with Wayfair, I find options for every style, whether I'm feeling boho or farmhouse, modern, traditional, French country. I can find exactly what I need for my home and more. Everyone loves a good deal. I mean, who does not want free and fast and easy delivery? Come on. No matter your space, style, or budget, shop Wayfair.com to make your home way more you.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
American Giant makes great clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, and more right here in the U.S. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, code STAPLE20.
You're listening to LSU Daily with Matt Musso, your home for all things LSU sports.
Off and running. Welcome in another edition of LSU Daily. Tiger Baseball gets win number 7 on the season. They run-rule Nicholls on Monday night, 13-3. You saw a really, really great pitching performance from freshman William Schmidt in the start. We will talk about that. You saw the Tiger Bats pick up right where they left off on Saturday night in game number 3 versus Omaha. 2 guys in particular who stayed hot that we will talk plenty about. And now LSU gets set to travel for the first time this season. They will board a plane on Tuesday and head up to the Dallas area, play DBU on Wednesday night at Arlington, and then hang around for the Frisco College Baseball Classic, where they will see Kansas State, Nebraska, and Sam Houston State over the course of the weekend. So big tests coming up for LSU. We have plenty of time to talk about that as the week goes along. For baseball, we'll focus mainly on Nicholls, and Jay Johnson did update the status of Gavin Guidry. So we will definitely talk about that. On the LSU football front, Tigers secure an official visit from a top 10 quarterback. We'll tell you a little bit about him. And men's hoops get set to host Tennessee in the PMAC on Tuesday night. So get subscribed, share, follow me on social media, Twitter X at Musso Matthew. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. All of that is greatly appreciated. And let's go ahead and dive right into it. We will start with LSU baseball. We will start with Jay Johnson post-game being asked about Gavin Guidry. And the way this interaction went is it started just with him being asked the question that he's been asked plenty so far throughout the early part of the season is, hey, Coach, you've played 8 games. When are we going to see Gavin Guidry?
Sooner rather than later. He probably is not available this weekend. It's a non-throwing issue. I think we're on track. Like, we've identified what we need to do to get him back out there, and I see him available next week sometime. Okay, well, when you hear that answer, that sounds like there's something wrong, that he's hurt, and that was the obvious follow-up. Non-throwing, non-arm related deal that just kind of crept up. He was prepared to pitch on last Wednesday, and then actually woke up on Thursday not feeling great. So we think we really pinpointed what it was and anticipate him being ready next week sometime. Upper body, lower body? Upper body, yeah. So tricky, actually, right in the middle of the body. Middle body. Yeah, okay. Sorry. Yeah. All right, so there we go. That's an answer to this saga. Now, it doesn't completely answer every question, but while this all just feels very fishy because it's been 8 games, Jay Johnson has no reason to lie about this. Like, it serves him no benefit. Said it crept up. He was prepared to pitch Wednesday, which tracks with his previous statements. He woke up Thursday not feeling great, middle body injury, non-throwing. They've pinpointed what they need to do to get him ready. It'll probably be sometime next week, and when he's ready to go, he'll be ready to go. Okay. It's nice to finally just have some type of clarity as to why we haven't seen Gavin Guidry. And again, the timeline, while sure it might sound fishy, there is no benefit to not telling the truth about this, especially if it's
not an arm injury. So, look, we'll see Gavin Guidry when we see him. It is nice to just have something on the record finally about it because it was a very curious case. And when we get to see Guidry, I'm going to be fired up because there have been some changes made, and I'm very anxious to see them. He's added a changeup. The fastball is apparently much more consistently 93, 94. You add those two pitches with that hammer slider. He's been extended a little bit as well throughout these scrimmages, so you can see a little bit more long relief, maybe a spot start here and there for Gavin Guidry. It takes his game to the next level for LSU this season, but also for his pro prospects here in a draft year. So I'm going to be very, very excited to see him when we do. Jay Johnson says that will probably be sometime next week, and you need him because LSU next week, not to get too far ahead, but they have 5 games again. They'll play 2 against North Dakota State in the midweek and then welcome in North Alabama for a 3-game series, and then it's one more midweek and off to SEC play. So when Guidry's good to go, you're going to need to see him pitch plenty. Get a lot of innings under his belt, as many as you can, doing it responsibly as to not re-injure him. But he's going to be a key cog. The thing you should be happy with is you've seen your young arms really, really excel here early in this season. So you're as deep as you've been on the mound under Jay Johnson. That's the silver lining to all of it. Speaking of those young arms, this is where we can jump into the game against Nicholls. William Schmidt gets the start for LSU, and man, I thought William Schmidt was phenomenal a night ago. I on Monday night he was awesome. Was he perfect? No, but he was about as dominant as you could be in the spot that he was put in my opinion. First ever start on the home turf. There's going to be some nerves there, but once he settled in, he was the William Schmidt that we've all expected to see. So you see him go out there, top of the first, gets ahead of Jan's 0-2. Count is worked full, and he ends up giving up a single up the middle. Kalura followed with a sharp single up the middle that he saw on the first pitch. He then recorded his first strikeout of the night before a fielding error over at third base by Tanner Reeves. Advanced runners, and then a sac fly brought in the first run of the game for Nicholls, but he didn't let it bother him. He gets the fielder's choice right after that, and then LSU responds in the bottom half of the first with a 4 spot to take a lead that they would never relinquish. That was highlighted by 2 moments for me. With 2 outs, Jones walks on 4 pitches, and then Pearson is hit by the pitch. So you're in a spot that you were in plenty against Omaha, specifically in that first game Saturday, where you have first and second run scoring opportunity, and they were put there by free passes. And Danny Dickinson, who's been one of your best he's tied for the lead on the team RBI, so he's been your best RBI guy to this point in the season coming up. And that's a spot you had to have a hit. And Dickinson responded. It was a great piece of hitting. He pulled his hands in, got the barrel to the inside pitch, and drove it into left field, line drive. That scores a run and gets LSU on the board. Larson and Aaron Beatty would walk, giving you now the bases loaded with 2 outs, and Stephen Milam up. And Stephen Milam had a 3-for-3 night in game number 2 of the doubleheader on Saturday. Looked like he had finally broken out of his slump, or his funk, I should say, his slow start, right? And now he's immediately, after a 3-for-3 game, in a huge spot to drive in a run and see, all right, is he back? Like, is he snapping out of this funk? And Milam in an 0-1 count sharply singles up the middle to score 2 runs. That ultimately gives LSU the 4 spot, but that was just a massive spot for Milam to show out in. You head to the second inning, and that's when William Schmidt really, really kind of hit cruise control for LSU and started to kind of carve through the Nicholls lineup. He would run into some trouble in the 5th inning once again. This was just really unfortunate. After a strikeout looking to start the inning, his 3rd of the night, he allowed a single to center by Irvin. And then Irvin advanced to second on a wild pitch. He advanced to third on a wild pitch, and he scored on a wild pitch. That's tough. And it was a rough go for Cade Aaron Beatty behind the plate there in that inning. And that's something that we've talked about plenty with him so far through the preseason and early in this year. He's just not fully comfortable back there yet in the defensive realm of the game. You're seeing separation at catcher. Like, Luis Hernandez right now has been your best option, and I don't really think it's that close right now. I mean, you look at Hernandez on the season, in his 13 at-bats, he is hitting .308. He has the 3 doubles, which leads LSU's team, actually, in that category. His on-base percentage is .438. So even when he's not getting hits, he's still getting on base at a really high clip for LSU. And he's also been your most consistent performer behind the plate defensively. Has he been perfect? No, but he's been your most consistent performer behind home plate consistently. I would like to see him get extended reps at catcher and see if he can't further separate himself. See if you haven't settled on your guy. That being said, they're not going to do that. I think they're absolutely going to continue to rotate these guys, Aaron Beatty and Hernandez, in, get Cade Aaron Beatty as many reps as they can get him early in this season before ultimately making a decision for conference play. But, I mean, for me, the clear leader right now is Luis Hernandez at the catcher position, and that shouldn't come as a surprise. That's a veteran player. I mean, that is a veteran player that has played 4 years of college baseball.
American Giant makes great clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, and more right here in the U.S. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, code STAPLE20.
And Cade Aaron Beatty, while he's got the best upside of anyone on the team from a catcher standpoint, and he does, and he's going to have a great career at LSU, he's a freshman. So, I mean, Hernandez should be ahead of him. And to me, is. But they'll continue to rotate him, and we'll see how that goes. From an offensive perspective for LSU, a little bit more on that one. Jared Jones went yard in the second inning. No doubter off the bat of Bear Jones, and that was something you love to see. It was a middle fastball, belt high, absolute mistake, and Jones did not miss it. And if the wind weren't blowing in about 5 to 6 miles an hour from the north, that ball's probably off the scoreboard. I mean, he obliterated it, and it landed about top row out in left field. That's how home runs are supposed to look. I mean, it was gorgeous. The swing was balanced. I mean, everything about it was perfect. And that was great to see for Bear Jones. Part of a 2-for-2 night for him with 3 RBI. He kept it going after a stellar nightcap against Omaha. You look up and see Jones sitting .400 right now, 2 homers, and is tied for the team lead with 12 RBI. And then you go to the bottom of the 5th inning, and this is where LSU broke it open for good. And Stephen Milam was once again at the center of it. 3-run homer for Milam to left field, scoring Hogg and Dickinson, and ultimately driving the final nail in the coffin there. LSU would put up a 5 spot, but that got it started. But Milam, 2 for 3, the homer, the single, 5 RBI for Milam. That slow start is in the rear view. Milam is now up to 333, 8 RBI, and the home run on the season. What was so impressive for me, though, that tells you, he's seeing the ball, is the single, the 2 RBI single came from the left side. The home run came from the right side. We saw this at times last year. Stephen Milam is a legitimate switch hitter. Like, he is that guy. And if he's going to get big hits like that from both sides, he's seeing the ball. So I think that slow start is absolutely a thing of the past now for Stephen Milam. When you have him down in the 8-hole doing that, that just provides such incredible length to your lineup. I would like to see Chris Stanfield back in the leadoff spot when just looking at some lineup construction. That's something that I would like to see because, man, it worked so well for them the first 4 games of the year, and I think you really hit on something there with Stanfield, Curiel, and Jones as your top 3. You still have to figure out who's going to hit behind Jared Jones, and I think they're still tinkering with that. But it's hard to argue when you look up at the last 2 games and see what Milam and Stanfield have done at 8-9 and not love that. Like, it is hard to argue. And I think you'll see it again plenty this year. But I do wonder now, you're looking for someone to hit behind Jones. do you start, and I'm not saying Milam's that guy, but do you start seeing Milam be moved up in the lineup a little bit more? Or do you love him down there at 8? I kind of love him down there at 8 for what we just said, the length that gives your lineup. And if you're going to put Stanfield behind him at 9, it allows you to go true lefty right, left right throughout the lineup. And you get Milam and Stanfield on, flip that lineup over, and yeah, I mean that's a lot to be happy about. But as I said, I would ultimately like to see Stanfield back in the leadoff spot for everything that we saw from him, going forward. Final thoughts on William Schmidt, because the game was over at that point, and Schmidt was lifted in the 5th inning, 4 2/3, 60 pitches right on the dot, which is where Jay Johnson wanted him to be. Of those 60 pitches, 46 of them were strikes. He faced 19 hitters, 16 first pitch strikes. He was all over the zone, no walks, 3 punch-outs. He was dominant. Fastball got up to 97 a couple times, but sat 94, 96. In that range, you saw him really mixing the changeup a little bit more, and then the 12-6 hook. It's just everything that was advertised. Y'all, William Schmidt does not belong here. He just doesn't. We should all be very, very thankful that he is, but you just see the stuff and you go, yeah, that's why he was the number 1 ranked pitcher, right-handed pitcher in the country, and was a projected first-round draft pick by everybody. Like, LSU's very fortunate that he's here, because he does not belong. He is out of place at this level of baseball. And again, everyone should be very glad that he's out of place wearing the purple and gold, because he is set up for just an awesome, awesome career for his hometown team. And we also all love seeing that here when it comes to LSU baseball and LSU athletics in general. But, I mean, that's a guy who is – and look, he's going to get roughed up this year. Like, that's going to happen. He's going to face better competition. There's going to be high-pressure moments he's put in the SEC. He's going to get roughed up. It's all part of the growing experience and learning experience of being a freshman and playing a lot as a freshman, and he's going to take his lumps, and he'll be better for them. But the stuff flashes, and they're not done with it. He's refining a slider. They're working on that. When he gets that, you're looking at a 4-pitch mix. Definitely profiles as a starter going forward for him in his career. Might be hard to break into that rotation this season, but for his career, his future at LSU, that's a Friday night arm in William Schmidt. So I thought it was an awesome, awesome performance. I thought he was dominant, quite honestly, in that game against Nicholls on Monday night. So, look, a great win. LSU, they picked up right where they left off. They got win number 7, and now they'll head to Arlington, face DBU, and hang around for the Frisco College Baseball Classic, where they'll see 2 teams in Nebraska and Kansas State, who are both in the NCAA tournament a season ago. All right, LSU football. Teased this right at the top of the show. Dead period coming to an end in recruiting. LSU actually starts spring practice a week from Saturday. So that's creeping up on us as well. We'll have a lot of great content for you there. But Tigers did get some good news. Steve Wiltfong, reporting this yesterday morning, Monday morning, that 4-star quarterback Bo Bentley has locked in an official visit with LSU. That is going to be on March the 15th, so the second weekend of spring practice. Bo Bentley will be on campus. Class of 2026 guy, on 3, has him in their industry rankings as the number 10 quarterback in the class. You're looking at a top 10 arm. And with that, as you might expect, the other visits he's taking, who's who? He'll visit Oklahoma on March 8th. Then he'll go to LSU for March 15th. He will visit Ohio State March 19th. Visit Florida State March the 22nd. And then he'll round it out with Georgia Tech on March the 29th. Is a dual threat guy, has the ability to run. And matter of fact, 247 Sports has him listed as a dual threat quarterback, and has him the number 11 player in the country. So 6'2", 200 pounds, out of Salina, Texas, goes to Salina High School, part of the class of 2026. Bo Bentley, top 10 quarterback in the nation, has locked in an official visit with LSU on March the 15th. And look, quarterback's going to be an important position for LSU in that 26 class because Garrett Nussmeier is off to the draft and his professional career after 2025. He's out of eligibility as well. Yes, you did bring in Michael Van Buren, and it looks like he could be your starter of the future. We'll see what happens with Colin Hurley. Obviously, he's recovering from the injuries sustained in that car accident, and we continue to wish him the very best in his recovery and that he makes a full recovery and is back with LSU because that's a kid who reclassified and is certainly plenty talented. But losing Garrett Nussmeier, you're absolutely going to have to add a guy. It could be in the high school ranks because, again, you have Michael Van Buren, or you could be back in the transfer portal. Quarterback's going to be an interesting one, and we all know you cannot go through a cycle without adding a quarterback. Whether it is in the high school ranks or the portal, you have to add a quarterback every cycle because the turnover at that position is just so great. So Bo Bentley's not the first. He won't be the last that LSU's after in the class of 2026. Of course, you have Elijah Haven and a couple other kids in Louisiana in 2027. Future looks bright, but Bo Bentley's the latest name to keep an eye on. Locks in an official visit with LSU on March 15th. So 2 weeks away. All right, we'll wrap with LSU hoops. Men's basketball team, Matt McMahon's team, welcomes in number 5 Tennessee tonight at the PMAC. Tennessee is a 10.5-point favorite in this game. 8 p.m. tip-off on the SEC network. This is it's going to be rough. It's not going to go very well for LSU. Tennessee, it's a really good basketball team. Obviously, I mean, they're number 5 in the country for a reason. They've been number 1 at one point in this season. You got Chaz Lanier on that team coming off a 30-point game in Tennessee's last matchup where they really kind of walloped Texas A&M. This is a team that really can rebound the basketball as well, averaging almost 38 rebounds per game. LSU, they're going to play small with that 4-guard lineup. We'll see how that goes. And then you got a guy like Zakai Ziegler, who's really starting to pick it up better. I mean, he's dealt with some injuries, but I mean, he's back and starting to really return to form and play well, averaging 13 points, 7 assists. I mean, he is a true point guard. So the guard play there is elite for Tennessee. And then, I mean, you have, like I said, Lanier, who's the leading scorer and coming off a 30-point output. So it's a team that can really score it. The rebounding obviously bothers me. That's been a problem for LSU all season long. And now, especially with them, going smaller with their lineup, that has allowed LSU to score more points, but obviously it hurts you down in the paint. So, you'll look for that. If I'm being quite honest about this matchup, I expect LSU to be competitive early and fade into the background in the second half. That's kind of what they've done all year. They're good enough to compete and fight and keep it close. They're just not good enough to get over the hump. We have seen that over and over and over again. If there is something else to watch in it, though, keep watching these young players. Robert Miller, Curtis Givens, they've been getting a lot more run, and they've been playing well down the stretch. Those are some of your freshmen, and then, of course, Victorious Miller as well. So keep an eye on them for further development. I mean, this is great experience that they're getting. You hope that they're all back with you next season to really build off of that. But with the transfer portal, you just never know. There's going to be roster turnover for LSU, but that is something to keep an eye on because all 3 of those guys, Robert Miller and Curtis Givens particularly, have been playing really good basketball down the stretch for LSU and growing up and developing right in front of your eyes. So keep an eye on that tonight as well. But I expect Tennessee to win this one and ultimately probably win it by double digits. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Y'all get subscribed. Favorite podcast app, LSU Daily. Just search it. It's right there. Go ahead. Set notifications for it, whatnot. Follow me on social media. All of that is greatly appreciated. And be here next time for more on LSU Daily.